meeting, town of Pink Hill. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did you get that sheet from outside?
There ain't nobody.
All right. We got the conflict of interest in your binders. Any public comments today? Nobody signed up, so
Correct.
we'll move on. We need a motion to approve the approval of the July 2025 agenda tonight.
Make a motion to approve the July 2025 agenda.
Any discussion? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And need a motion to approve the minutes of the June 25th, 2025 meeting. Minutes. I'll get it right in a minute.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the June 2025 meeting.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor? And you got the financial reports in here today?
I got the general one in there.
Okay. Reports are in your binders.
I'm gonna work this week.
But we gotta do the, usually amendments, yeah, we got them on here. All right, water department, I'll do that one, and everything's running pretty good. They had another water line break last night on Highway 241 here. I sat out there till about 11 fixing that 6-inch water line, bane broke. We did attribute that to where they paved the highway, and I talked to the engineer today, Cody, from the DOT. He told me that if we were ready, do we have all leaks, because he even had mentioned any more leaks. I said, well, we had another one, we got it fixed. He said, well, I'll let Barnhill know, because Barnhill is having to redo all the sinkholes that there is and everything. They're coming to patch all that. But he said he would let Barnhill and they would get on it, because that was their responsibility to fix it.
I like to thank Brandon too, Commissioner Marshall, for coming out last night. He come out and stayed with us.
Did you use some shoveling too?
I was a good flashlight holder.
He kinda got an idea of what goes on. With,
Yeah,
when
people
things
don't
go
realize
on.
it. We got a lot of metal, everything underground is metal piping, and when they came and paved 241, they used a roller with a vibrator in it. It caused a lot of issues, and they weren't supposed to use the vibrator, so the company is coming back to repair the damage. So we've had to dig up the new highway, 3 times now?
3 times.
So we've had to dig up brand new paving that we've been so needing for many years. But anyway, they're gonna come back and fix it, so that's great news. Fire department, anybody got any?
Since our last meeting, there have been 18 EMS assignments, 4 vehicle accidents, 0 vehicle fires, 3 structure fires, no gas leaks, no fire alarms, 1 brush fire, no service assignments, for a total of 26, and total cost for the year, 160.
I'd like to say I saw the Pink Hill Fire Department at the Deep Run Parade. They did a right nice display. They did real well.
I heard the whistle go out last night. They went off. Yeah. And we got the police report in here.
Yep.
All right, on our police department monthly report, this month our officers continue to focus on business checks, monitoring traffic in and around Pink Hill. Checking stations were initiated, and we worked with outside agencies to perform checkpoints. We also assist the sheriff's office with the governor's highway safety campaign. Stationary and moving radar stops were performed with citations issued. Peak time area, home, and business checks continue to be a priority. Our office will continue to assist neighboring agencies when requested. We will also continue to respond to Lenore County EMS, Duplin County EMS, and Pink Hill Fire Department calls to provide safety for responders in our community. Our officers are continually working in service training to stay in compliance. All calls received are answered in a timely manner, and all reports are current and up to date. We did see a decrease in traffic crashes and also a drop in speed-related violations this month. We did have a few animal complaints that we handled, and several pets were returned safely to their owners. Officer presence and traffic enforcement will continue to be a priority and maintain safety in our community. Thank you, Mike. And John. Good, what was that? He's got an award. I don't know has everybody heard about Mike's got a police department's getting an award in Raleigh?
Me and John both have tentatively been awarded our advance, and they're gonna do that August 15th.
August 15th. So
Anyway,
we're gonna try to everybody try to go to that meeting, so it's a little small town.
RSVP put us on, so.
Thank you, Mike and John. All right. Old business, we're going back on the. Sorry.
This is the old agenda. It's the one I printed.
Oh.
She changed it.
Oh, she
Sorry.
did. Oh, okay. No old business.
No, no.
All right, and new business, we have the water meter replacement guys here with their presentation. If you want to.
I didn't even know how to print a copy. I was really just telling you the one I printed.
What I did was I just copied all the slides for you guys so you would have them, rather than try and bring in a projector and all that. This is only gonna take about 2.5 hours with the guy here.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
So, but no, anyway, so we're with Waterworks Metrology. Just so you guys know, my name's Brett. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Waterworks Metrology. I live not too far from here in Anger. This is Evan. Evan lives in Wilmington. Evan covers North Carolina east for us, basically. If you kind of drew a line at maybe Greensboro, somewhere around in that area, east, that's what Evan covers for us. We're just gonna, this is a really informal thing. You've got a copy of every slide in there. So the second page there just kind of tells you who I am, who Evan is. We're set up a little bit differently from any other company that has metering there. So you see my name, and then you see Adam Montgomery. Adam Montgomery, when I developed our company and our team, we have an AMI support team. Nobody else has. What most of our other competitors are going to do is, if you have a problem with your metering system, they're going to give you a 1-800 number to call. We've got a guy named Adam Montgomery, a 4-man team that can be here on the ground if you have a problem. Adam lives in Southport. Our other 2 team members live in Western North Carolina, and one guy lives in Ohio. We are Mueller's largest metering distributor in the country. Mueller is a $7 billion water company. So that's all they focus on is water, and all we focus on is meters. That's all we do is meters. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background of who we are. That third slide just kind of gives you the brief agenda real quick. I'm not going to go through that. You can read it. You got a copy of it. You can go back through it and look at it later. The fourth slide there, just to give you a little background on us. Our company as a whole is 50 years old. Started out in the utility company. Our home office, our owner, we're a privately held company, is based in, he's in New Jersey, but our offices are actually in Raleigh. It's where our inside sales office is in Raleigh, and all our sales guys stay remote. Like Evan lives in Southport, I live in Anger. I don't even have an office in Raleigh because I'm out of the office more than I'm in the office. So I don't even have an office there. But we basically have the entire East Coast of the United States, also to include Tennessee, Texas, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. So we're well versed in metering as well. Like I said, we're Mueller's largest distributor. That fifth slide there that you see, just to give you an idea of Mueller's water products. When you're talking about an AMI system, I always tell people all the time, why would you want to spend money on an AMI system when all you could do is read your meters? Right? With Mueller's AMI system, you have the option. Now it's another fee to it, but it's not included, but it's an option where you could do leak detection. You could put leak sensors on your hydrants. You can do remote flushing. You can do pressure monitoring. You can do remote water sampling. You can do all that. It all runs on the exact same platform. So I say, you know, when you're considering a metering system, you probably ought to consider what you could possibly do with it if you wanted to, besides just read your meters, right? And we were talking kind of earlier before we got started, just so you know, right here near you, both Kenansville and Beulahville run our AMI system. So if you call Lori at Beulahville or call Kenansville, they could probably tell you all you ever want to know about it.
Now, is this system that you're talking about is still based like on the same, like we've been looking at is cellular by data?
It's not cellular. It's actually better than cellular.
It's better than cellular. Okay.
It's better. So you'll see it in there, and we'll briefly look at it. We're not going to go down a rabbit hole, but we do a propagation study, and it shows. So for Pink Hill, you would just need one collector and one repeater, which is really minimal infrastructure. And I say it's better than cellular because cellular, we sell cellular too, but we don't really push it because number one, there's a huge battery drain on cellular because it requires a lot of power, and then there's also a latency. So with the fixed network system, which we're talking to you about tonight, you can do a demand read any time of the day you want to. You can ping the meter and get the reading that's on the meter in about 15 seconds while you're waiting. If you use our remote disconnect meters, you could also cut water off in about 15 seconds from the office without ever rolling a truck. If you do cellular, cellular takes about an hour or two to do a demand read, and you can only do it in a 6-hour window. And that's not just our system, that's anybody's cellular system. So it's a huge battery drain. So we don't really push it. We use cellular kind of like maybe as a fill-in. Let's say we do a prop study and we can't cover you 100%, and there may be 4 meters outside of town. We put maybe a cellular node on those. But we would never propose a whole cellular system. Besides that, with a cellular system, that happened to one of our competitors a couple of years ago. If you remember when 3G went away, and you know, metering companies don't have any control over that. That's the cellular company deciding to do that. When 3G goes away, or like if somebody's got 4G right now in their cellular system,
And your system,
your system's is gone.
mm-hmm.
You know, once Verizon or AT&T decides they're going to, you know, lay that to bed. So anyway, slide 6 just kind of shows a brief overview of everything you can do. Like I already said, with your remote flushing and all that stuff, kind of just gives you a city view. Number 7. So what we're talking about is a fully integrated water management system. So you could do DMAs, which is like you see on there, it's just short for district metering analysis. You could figure out which section of town maybe you're losing water in. You can compare what you're billing versus what you're actually using. You can actually draw it on the software and do that. Like I said, you can do water quality management. You can do pressure monitoring. The biggest thing is with this fixed network system is the fast two-way response. You know, when you have somebody come in here, let's say they're paying their last bill because they're moving, you could actually ping the meter while they're standing there in front of you and bill them. Rather than sending them a bill later and maybe they pay it, maybe they don't, you know, if they're ever coming back to Pink Hill or not. You know what I mean? So you can do that with our system. You wouldn't be able to do that with cellular, for example, because it'd take too long to get the reading back.
Question on that.
Yes, sir.
The system that we have now that's through, of course, it's out of date kind of with us. Badger. Yeah.
Badger.
Now, that system, is that the kind of same data type system you're talking about?
So
Two-way with this, because
What, are y'all using a drive-by system?
Drive-by system.
So it's better than drive-by because you would be getting all your readings right here to the office. You'd never roll a
And
truck.
that's what we were looking at.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's,
you'd never roll a truck.
and Badger, the biggest problem we're having with them is terrible support. You know, we have, when we came in here 2 years ago and
Pretty much zero support.
we have zero support. And you can't get anybody on the phone, and so,
Yeah.
and our stuff is 10 years old, and of course they're aging out.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's
and
why we're.
like I said, we try and kill people with customer support, and I'm not just saying it because you brought it up, but I mean, like, you know, we have an inside sales team that takes your call anytime. I mean, you know, between, you know,
Yeah.
7 and 5, and then our 4-man support team. That's all they do. They're not salespeople. All they do is watch your system, and if you've got a problem, they'll probably call you first. Now, Adam being so close, he may just come up here. But they'll probably try and call you first and see if they could walk you through it. And if they can't, they'll just come up here. You know, and we don't charge for that. A lot of other companies maybe will try and charge you for that. You know, if you need, let's say, because here's what's going to happen. I'm kind of getting the cart before the horse, but whoever system you go with, right? They're going to give you 2 or 3 days of training. Right? They'll give you outside training. They'll give you office support training. Well, guess what? That's like a fire hose coming at you, and you're not going to remember all that. So what's going to happen is, if it was our system, you would just call up Evan and say, Evan, can Adam and his team come back up here for like a day or 2 and go back over some of this stuff? We say, sure, no problem. And we don't charge for that. Everybody else will charge you for that.
Was that just in the beginning, though?
No. That's just what we do.
We had 2 years and we're having problems.
That team that I have in place, we do not charge for that.
Okay.
It's
That's all in the.
part of what we do. Because I just feel like if you sell something, you need to just stand by it. Because if somebody tells you that if you buy something, you're not going to have a problem, you need to send them right on out the door as quick as they came in, because that's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about electronics down in a water meter box, exposed to heat, cool winter. You're going to have an issue at some point. It's not whether or not you're going to have an issue. It's whether or not it's how the company responds to it. Whether they give you a 1-800 number to call and maybe you got to explain to them all over again what's going on, and then you stay on hold for 2 hours, or whether you can call somebody that actually knows what you got going on. Because like our guys, our 4-man team, they've worked in municipals. That's what we hired them from, municipals.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, the guy who manages the team, spent 10 years as a meter installer, and then spent 4 years at the city of Southport running this system. So they're not just somebody trained to sit behind a computer and look at what you got. So
They're reading out of a manual.
yeah, they're not doing that. They got real world experience.
Real world
So they
experience.
know exactly what's going on before you start to describe it. So that kind of goes into the eighth page there, that 8th slide about dedicated support and operation for the life of the system. So you've got our 4-man team. Mueller also has what's called a NOC. It's just a fancy abbreviation for Network Operations Center that also is monitoring your system. But we're so on top of it that we actually tell all our customers, call us first. And if there's something we can't handle, we'll call the NOC on your behalf. Because you got other stuff to do besides stay on hold for 30 minutes or whatever it is, waiting on somebody to help you, right? We also have a remote disconnect meter that's on the bottom of that slide. That sometimes people go 100% with it, sometimes they don't. What generally happens most of the time is they will, usually in your system, when you have what a lot of people call your frequent flyers, your cutoff list is normally about 90% of the same every month. And so rather than put that in your entire system, which you can do, they'll just take it and put it in their
The areas we had.
areas where you have to, maybe whether it's dangerous or, I mean, a lot of systems now are sending out 2 people to do cutoffs because people are just crazy. Talk about cutting off water. Cell phone bill will be working, but they won't pay that water bill.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come out and threaten to shoot you over a freaking turning the water
Oh, yeah.
on. So remote disconnect meter changes all that. You just cut it off from the office. As a matter of fact, we've got a utility that, so their on-call guy, they're online where they can pay your bill online. And so if somebody gets home and their water's cut off and they pay their bill after 5 o'clock, their on-call guy gets the message, and while he's sitting there in his recliner watching Jeopardy, he just pulls up his iPad and hits the button and turns them on, and they still charge him for an after-hours turn-on, and never rolled a truck. Never
I
rolled a
don't know
truck.
if Cody would like that or not. They've been called out before, somebody paid their bill, I got this
Some
turned
people
on.
put up all these fancy charts and all that. I will say that, so it was Rural Water or AWWA worked out a formula, and they said it's about $80 to roll a truck. So you figure however many times you roll a truck for cut-offs and cut-ons and all that, multiply that times $80. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Next slide is just a picture of a meter and a node, kind of what it looks like. Now that picture, hey, give Cody one of those. That picture is of an ultrasonic meter. We have ultrasonic meters and we have positive displacement meters, either one. Some companies will tell you that the ultrasonic meter is the greatest meter in the world, and then I'll go right down the street and they'll tell you that the positive displacement meter is the greatest meter in the world. It's a matter of preference. So we have either one. So it doesn't matter to me, whichever one you prefer. The positive displacement meter, after about 10 years, will start to slow down because it has a disking chamber inside of it that rotates. Ultrasonic meter doesn't have anything on the inside, so it tends to not slow down. So
What's the difference in prices usually like between?
it's about $10.
Oh,
Ultrasonic meter is about $10 more than a positive displacement meter. And in all honesty, to really realize the savings or the gain or whatever, you'd have to run that model out about 10 or 15 years. And let's be honest, at the end of 10 years, you're probably looking at changing it all out again.
Well, we hope not.
Well, you hope not, but I mean, you know,
We'd like to see them last a little longer than that.
yeah. And by the way, we have
these ones we got now are a little over 10, ain't they?
yeah.
Yeah, they're around 15.
Yeah, I think
And it's
that's
a 20-year warranty on our
12 to
meters.
15.
okay.
It's a 20-year warranty on the meters and the nodes. So full 10-year warranty, then prorated the second 10 years, but a full 20-year warranty. That number 10 slide just shows some of the larger meters that we have. Just show you what's available. We won't get into that. But we have the electromagnetic meters. We have NVR meters, turbine meters. So it just depends on what size meters you need. But we have all the way up to as large as you need. Then the 11th one is just another picture of the nodes, and what we do is we hang that from the meter lid. So you drill the lid and then hang it from the lid. It's only exposed about that far above the lid, so sometimes every once in a while somebody go, well, I hit it with a lawnmower. Well, if you hit it with a lawnmower, I want to see what that grass looks like in the front yard.
Yeah.
Because you got no grass if you hit that hanger.
We've got pretty much some noise on there now.
You know.
A lot of
Pretty
them,
much the same thing.
but it is old, yeah.
And you really got to put it through the lid. Now, when you're doing drive-by, like you can put our drive-by system under the lid. But when you're doing AMI, where you're getting the reading back to the office, you have to have it through the lid to get that signal out.
That's the way all ours are now.
Yeah.
It all through the lid.
Most
Most of them, yeah.
Well, see, y'all are one step ahead because you already got your lids drilled.
Yeah, that helps with it, because we got
Yeah,
through
it helps already. You already. A lot of people that have drive-by don't do that
Mm-hmm.
just because of the expense. They'll just put it under the lid. But so y'all are one step ahead.
I think when we first updated them was when they had that grant that came through, that they helped
Yeah.
replace all our, 'cause we had the old.
And it's a pretty standard size hole too,
Yeah,
so
it is. That's
I'm
what-
sure it
yeah.
all fits.
So we had, that was one savings we were looking at, is all our lids are re-drilled pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And any lid, I mean, we've got a bunch of
Extra.
backup lids too.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well, good. I mean, you are one step ahead. That next slide just shows you some of the system alarms and alerts. Whether you got backflow going back through the meter, whether it's unable to read, whether it's a low battery, whether it's been tampered with, whether you got high flow or not, low flow. Now, a great thing about an AMI system, with drive-by, think about it. You only get that high read once a month, right? The reads come back, you get a high read, somebody's got a leak, right? You notify about a leak, and then more than likely, I don't know how each municipal is different, but you probably more than likely might do an adjustment if they have a plumber come out and fix it if they bring the bill in, right? Guess what? With an AMI system, you come in the morning, you get that alert right then. So you know immediately they got a leak. You contact the customer right then. You go into the software and make a note, customer contacted on such and such a date. it's up to you whether or not you want to give them an adjustment after you've notified them that they got a leak. Because they are notified immediately that they have a leak. So, I mean, it's up to you. It's just saying it's another cost savings. You're not losing, well, I don't know how many times you do adjustments for leaks, but next slide shows a picture of the remote. And we've got these meters. If you want to put your hand on any of them, they're here. We'll show them to you before we leave. But that's what the remote disconnect meter looks like there on the 13th slide. It's the exact same lay length as a regular meter, so there's no extra plumbing involved when you put it in. So it fits right in where your regular meters are. We've sold, not us, but Mueller has sold over 1 million of them, so it's not like it's not something new to the market. We've got them all over the place. The next slide shows what a collector looks like. That box, that gray box, is down on the ground at the bottom of the water tank. The antenna is up at the top of the water tank. We have an installer that comes and puts that all in for you. It's all included. And generally we have good luck. The only thing that will happen to that every once in a while is you might get a lightning strike. I mean, it just happens. It's an act of God. It's not covered under warranty. There's some places in Texas, we got one that they get struck all the time in Texas because they have all kinds of thunderstorms. So, next slide just shows you what the inside looks like of a collector. It's all it's all kind of plug and play. So if you needed to do anything, more than likely, if you had a collector problem, we would have Adam or somebody here on the ground to fix it for you. But it's all plug and play just to kind of show you. So the next slide basically is a 30,000 foot overview of what happened. But the meters and all the other water management systems report to either a collector or a repeater. That collector or repeater brings the reading back to the server. And the server transmits it to your computer, and that's where your readings are held. And then there's a billing file. Obviously, you're already familiar with that. It's the same way with ours. It just bills from there. And it's the great thing, like I said earlier, is that if all you want to do is read your meters, you can. It's fine. It'll do it. If you ever wanted to go further and do leak detection or automatic flushing or that, it all runs on that same platform.
It's add-on. You just
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Could you just do leak detection?
Yeah.
And not?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can do one or all of it.
Yeah. Because there's some of that stuff we don't need. I mean, we still like to work, so we can get out there and do some of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, like leak detection.
Yeah, if you just want to do just leak detection and put it on high, as a matter of fact, there's a company that we work with, so you wouldn't have to just kind of guess where to put it. There's a company that we work with that would take like all your leak information that you've had, like your latest leak information over say a period of 3 or 4 years, if you've got it all categorized, they put it into a software program that's AI driven, that's a whole lot smarter than I am. And it will actually tell you the best places to start with your leak detection that are most likely to develop leaks in the list.
Do we have that many trouble with leaks anymore since we've got the system?
Not too much, no.
Because I'm thinking that usually is where we had waste, mostly the same trouble where they had the ones that's cut off on that Leaden Drive park over there.
I mean,
because they were.
It would be nice to have it. I mean,
That's what I'm talking
I know in times past, we've had people come in here, trying to get y'all to do away with your water bill because they had a pipe that was busted that they didn't know about, and it ran for 3 days, and they didn't know about it. But with this, like he said, we would know right away.
Yeah, you know right away.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And even the big leak detection thing, you don't have to do the whole town. You could do a little piece of it, like wherever your oldest infrastructure is. Just do that.
I noticed that I saw your picture of a cell phone there because the one we were looking at on sale that they were showing where this customer can actually monitor their water bill.
You can. So one of the other options that's not really in this presentation, but what you're talking about is they can do what's called a customer portal.
Yeah.
Now there's a good and bad about the customer portal, right? It's great because your customers, kind of like your power bill, right? You can dial in and see exactly what your water usage is. All your customers could do that. They could even set stuff like let me know when my water bill gets to $50 a month. You know, it'll even do that. Now, it's good for that. The bad part is it's either all or nothing as far as the town is concerned. So you either have to institute it for all of your customers or none of your customers. You couldn't do just like, well, we're only going to have 200 customers that are going to use it. You got to do all or nothing. But it's great for customers that will use it.
And that probably not gonna be worth it for us because
That's what I'm
we
saying.
got a lot of the elders that don't even.
Right, yeah, and that's why that's why I tell people.
They're like me, I can barely find a button on here.
Well, you're right. I mean, might as well be up front and tell you the truth. I mean, there's good, there's bad, right? And, you know,
Everything's-
it's an all or nothing deal.
Yeah.
And so it's about 50-50 people that take advantage of that. So that's why it's not even really.
But that's why I learned if that's part of the thing, it may
Yeah.
be a good, but if it's not and you got the special, it's not worth it.
It's available, but like I said, again, it's an option. The next one, project management, just kind of goes into real quick, the next two slides really. What happens is real quick, not to go down a rabbit hole. Once you said, okay, we want to go with the system, like what happens? So we get all your stuff ordered. And then while that's doing, a project manager from Mueller and our team comes down and meets with whoever you want to in the field, right? And y'all go and say, okay, well, this project says it's one collector, one repeater. You go and visit, make sure you got access to that collector site, make sure you got access to that repeater site, make sure there's no permits needed, all that kind of stuff. Then the Mueller team comes in, they install all the infrastructure, and they start putting in meters. Now, what they'll do a bit, at first is they'll put in, say, about 25 meters, and they'll let y'all pick them, the sites. Because what we like to do is really spread them out to the ones where you think we're going to be the most difficult to read, because we want to make sure those are reading before we put in all the meters. Right, so, but then once they're all reading and everybody's good with it, and they come in and put them in, the install guys can put in as few or as many in a week as you want. And I say that because we work with the towns and say, okay, do y'all want to get this done in a month? You want to get it done in 2 months?
So you're talking about working as our budget, like if we were doing
Not
something.
really so much a budget, because it could be a budget issue, right?
Yeah.
But normally you got it all funded. It's really a matter of when are you going to read again? When are you going to send out bills again? What are the blackout dates? That kind of stuff. But they can get it done as quick or as slow as you want it done. And that's kind of what that next slide is kind of just shows you kind of what a deployment looks like. Now the slide after that this is your actual prop study of Pink Hill. All the blue dots show where all your meters are. Now, all that is we just took that basically off of addresses, and so those blue dots represent a meter, where all your meters are. Okay? And so then the next slide is a heat map, and if you see the green arrow, that green arrow is saying that's where the collector will go, and then the white arrow is saying where the repeater will go. So it's just one collector and one repeater, and that's it, which is great, because in all honesty, cost-wise, when you're talking about the difference between drive-by and fixed network, really and truly the only difference is how much does the infrastructure cost. Because the meter and the node or the antenna is about the same price as a drive-by one. It's probably, so a fixed network, we call it a node, some people call it an antenna, but the fixed network node is about $10 more than a drive-by node. Meter's the same price. So when you're talking about going from AMR to AMI, really your big question is how much is the infrastructure will cost? And you guys here in your town, the way you're laid out, you got minimal infrastructure. So I never say anything's a no-brainer, but you almost look at it and go, it's kind of a no-brainer to do AMI, because you're paying, I don't know what you're paying, don't need to know, but I guarantee you can probably buy meters and nodes for about the same price and just pay for your infrastructure. You ain't lost a thing. Except now you're not rolling trucks reading meters.
It sounds like it's gonna be so cheap we can't turn it down.
Well, I never say that either. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. You know, there is a cost to it, but I mean, you know, it's like, well, I'll put it this way. When I got out of the Army, one of my first jobs out of the Army was I worked for town of Lillington,
Yeah.
Public Works. And we were small too. You know, and I mean, really and truly, when we went to read meters, everything else stopped while we were reading meters. And you prayed nothing happened.
Yep.
Because if something happened and you had a break or something like that, then you couldn't finish reading meters, then you couldn't build.
Mm-hmm. We'd had that same problem.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody's got it that's small, so when you go to fixed network, you don't have that worry anymore. So a lot of times what will happen is, not here because you guys are smaller anyway, smaller staff, but I've never seen a utility department, whether it's a big town or a small town, have not enough work to do. They always have more work to do than they got people to do.
Oh,
it. And so anytime you can help them do something so they don't have to do it, so they can do other stuff, it's just better.
Our current situation with the meters we have now, by the time you read them, do cutoffs and cut back on,
Yep.
you're looking at 3 days. Now, it don't take 3 full days.
Yeah.
But it takes up 3 days because it's a process that we have to go through.
Yeah.
And I mean,
They used to call it the cut-on game.
Yeah, that's 3
You
days.
cut somebody off, and then you get the call on the radio about an hour later, so they go cut them back on, they come in and paid. In Littleton, what we finally started doing, y'all might do it here, is if they got cut off in the morning, nobody got cut back on until after lunch. Didn't matter when they came in and paid. Because we just stopped doing it.
Yeah, you couldn't do.
You couldn't get all the cut-offs done for people coming in and paying their bill. You gotta go cut it back on before you can finish the cut-off list.
I remember when we had to do manual reads on every single bill.
Yeah, me too.
And a lot of times the clerk would have to, way before Lauren, but when the clerk would have to ride around and write the numbers down while one guy was reading the meter.
Yeah,
Just try to do everything.
believe it or not.
I've had to ride around.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of utilities still do that.
Still do that, yeah. In small areas, you
Past
got.
month, I rode around the first day, got what I could with the computer, and the next day we had to go do 100 hand reads,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then the next day we had to do cutoffs. So I mean, you're 3 days.
And that's what happens when your system gets old. It's getting where it's not reading it. We've
Yeah.
got a time, and it's
I gotta
ever
tell you
since they changed the water system too, and it's never been able to sync together.
Yeah. King, North Carolina, 7,000 meters, and they do all manual reads.
7,000.
7,000. They do all manual reads.
That's hard to believe.
They
We got less
they
than
got some
400.
manpower then.
They actually, they don't. The same thing happens. They got they got more than y'all got. They got 5 guys. But I mean, same thing. Time to read meters.
Everything stops.
That's what they do. You know, I've never understood it, but anyway. So that next picture is just kind of a picture of what the Network Operations Center looks like. It's in Atlanta. That's the one run by Mueller.
Looks like NASA.
Like I said, yeah, right. They will also be monitoring your system, but we're looking at it too, and we would rather you call us first because we're right here.
Oh yeah.
You know, we can get here, and if we can't handle it, we'll call Mueller for you. That's just kind of the way we work. The next thing is just kind of it's for computer people, but it's kind of what your system looks like on the computer. When you see all that green, that means everything's reporting and everything. When you start seeing pink like that, it means something's not reporting. And so that's how when our guys say Adam or whatever pulls up your system and looks, that's how he can tell whether or not it's reading or not like it's supposed to. I mean, more than one time we've called somebody and said, hey, it looks like you've got a collector down. Can you at least go check and see if it's got power? You know, so we can look at it and tell kind of what's going on.
That'll be on the green data.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And then that next slide, we're about to the end. I told you it wasn't going to be long. Just kind of the summation. You know, it is the fastest and widest AMI network available. Like I said, it's pretty impressive when you can watch a meter get cut off in about 10 to 15 seconds from the office. We've done demos before where we would be somewhere that didn't have the town hall didn't have internet access or whatever. We'd be hotspotting the phone, and with a hotspot on the phone, still turn it off in about 15 seconds. So, or do demand reads, all that kind of stuff. It's all future proofed. Like I said, it's Mueller. It's a $7 billion water company. That's all they do. And then Waterworks Metrology, all we do is meters. So,
Is Mueller public trading?
yes, Mueller is a publicly traded company.
That's what I do, stocks. I'll check it out.
Check it out. Yeah. They are I looked it up the other day. I was reading an article and I was I always say it's $1 billion water company, but I want to see exactly what it's like. Now they're up to like, I think 7.36 billion or something like. Mueller as a Mueller Co. as a company, I think it's 1 in every 2 fire hydrants in the United States is a Mueller. Just to give you an idea.
Doesn't Mueller have, fixtures and like faucets and stuff like that?
They have, well, that's a different.
That's a different one, okay.
But now Mueller makes Mueller brass.
Uh-huh.
You know, brass and fittings and
That's where I've
valves
seen that in hardware.
and
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yep, they do that. And then that very last slide is just, again, it's my information, it's Adam's information, Evan's information. Rossi Manning, I didn't mention him. He's the territory manager for Mueller. He lives in South Carolina. And then Sarah, she's our inside sales manager. She lives in Clayton. So we pretty much got you surrounded from a support side. I live in Angier, Evan lives in Wilmington, Sarah lives in Clayton, Adam lives in Southport. So, I mean, if you got a problem, we can get here.
And we'll be able to get all this done for $20, right?
$20 with some change. I'll let you know what the change is. But yeah, so, and Evan will get you the pricing back to you, with just some more information. Keep that stuff there. And, the only thing we would probably need to know, and we don't need to know it tonight, but if you let Evan know whether you would prefer, ultrasonic meters or positive displacement meters, just cause there is a difference in the price. Everything else is gonna be the same.
What we
Nothing
need,
else is gonna
you said we
change.
gotta do, because to do official proposal, we gotta request bid.
You got a request out now?
No, we do not.
You do not?
No.
You gonna
So
put
we'll
one
make
out?
sure you get a copy once
Yeah,
we get
you'll make sure we get a copy of it, because we have an RFP team.
That's
Yeah.
what we'll do, yeah.
Yep, our RFP team will put it all together in a binder and everything.
You've already
for you.
got your data
Yep.
that we need, we just need to
Yep.
observe a few little things like that.
Yep, no problem. And if you got any questions between now and then, feel free to reach out, and we'll be glad to help you.
Appreciate you coming
All
by.
right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Hope I didn't take too much time. I was not trying to rush through it, but not trying to hold up your
Yeah,
time.
you done good.
Went to a board meeting one time, and we were behind the guy with the sewer project, and he took about an hour and a half. And I got up, the first thing the board said was, I hope you ain't gonna be long, because we're ready to go home.
They let me go first next time.
Yeah. Yep, y'all have a good day.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, moving right along, we'll, food truck ordinance recommendations from the attorney.
It's done. We haven't sent it out yet. I did have a couple of questions. Who does the board want to have the authority to revoke and suspend the food truck permits? That can be the town mayor, the board itself.
Do what now? We need to do that again.
Typically, a town manager is the one who issues the permits, rescinds the permits. If somebody's not complying with all the rules set out here, the town manager will revoke it.
We'll be
or suspend it.
Administrator for zoning and stuff like that.
Okay. Do we wanna just do-
Me and her work together on it.
The person issuing it's town mayor or designee. Do we want to just put that for the person who revokes or suspends the permits?
Let's put them there.
Okay. All right, that was the main question. The rest we've just got to go through and figure out where we want it
If y'all
in.
find that's something we can put in there.
We just need to go through and figure out where to put it in the code of ordinances, and we'll get it numbered correctly. But other than that, it's done. So we'll get it sent out.
Do we need to,
It's
motion to accept it here, or you gonna?
it's not done yet, so
Not
you
done
want to
yet.
just do it next month? You good with that?
We can put it on the agenda.
It was just an update.
Yeah, but it is done.
They're gonna, they'll send a copy, we can read over it anyway before we, cause
Yep.
everybody needs to have it, so they can look over it, see if they got any questions on it.
That's the only reason I didn't do it yet, is because it's not quite done. But I'll put it in there the next time
And
around.
we can look in the, which I've got, I keep a copy of me all the time on code of ordinance development, where you got your development ordinance, got your regular ordinances are online too, though.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
If you
figure
look
out
at
where
that
to put it
section, you
at.
figure out where we
Yeah.
can put it at in there too.
Figure it out.
Let's see. ECC Planning Board recommendations.
Carlson emailed me and he was like, "Have you got your planning board together yet?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And he said
That's
that
cause we gotta have to accept the, new land plan, whatever.
it's a requirement.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a planning board.
And so the only reason I put it on there is to make sure it was brought to everyone's attention that it is a requirement and they cannot finalize that comprehensive land use plan until that gets done because they have to approve it.
So y'all need to thinking about who you want on the planning board, and so you can suggest some names at the next meeting.
Well,
Ask around.
What I need to do is contact the ones that was on it before to find
Yeah.
out wants to be on the board.
Are you doing? How many members?
So I need but I don't know who all was on board for anyway. There's a list somewhere, isn't there?
I gave y'all at that meeting where they come here everything I had in that
I
file.
know Treeville
But I don't know.
and Diane.
I did not know about this
Only,
Yeah.
until he asked me about it, and I was like, "Why do we even need a planning board?" And he was like, "Oh, you have to have a planning board." And I was like, "Oh,
I
Yeah,
really
Rob
didn't
was
meet
on
once a month.
but it'd be one of them where we just, like, you meet if you need to. That's kinda like we used to have it, and we can do it that way, and then meet for the land use program. We gotta have a planning board, make a recommendation for the land use plan that we accepted it.
I know it was getting towards the end of it,
And I forgot, cause I remember when he mentioned that we was putting, and I was going,
but we can't finish it until we do this."
so let me, I'll make a note to, reach out to, planning board on that and see if they're,
Still won't be on it.
who still wants to be on it, and if anybody don't.
Do you want a copy of his recommendation? This is
Yeah.
Carlson, and he emailed it to me so I can print it again.
Yeah. We'll reach out to the board and then we'll go from there. Let me squeeze in something right here. Can we squeeze in this? We got a, kind of something that came up on this. If you noticed, I don't know if y'all noticed that the big oak over on the corner, it's dropped another big limb and smashed the fence. Well, I got Screaming Trees guy come out. They're the ones that cut that last big oak up, and they're great guys. And he come out and looked at the tree to make sure. I wanted to make sure because I hate to cut one of these great big 150-year-old trees or whatever they are, because unless we have to, but it's hollowed out in the middle and it's going to cause it could collapse on somebody or damage. So anyway, he's give us, and I thought it was a pretty good price because I told him we could dump the wood out there like we did before to save us a bunch of money. So he can cut it down and haul it over to the right, and of course they'll chip up what they can, but the big pieces, oak, they'll put out there on that where we dump our stuff, and it's $29.75. I wanted to make sure the board was okay with getting him to cut it down and clean it up for that. I want him to leave that stump book so that way we'll have two matching picnic tables, kind of memorialize it. Because we're not really building anything there, and I kind of just, I don't know, if we ever had to, we could always have it taken up, but it's costs a lot much extra to do it. And I think it's just kind of I don't know, it don't look bad to me like that. So.
No, it ain't.
Huge. I mean, it ain't bothering anybody. So if, I don't know, do we need to have a official vote on that or anything like that? Because
What's y'all's threshold?
well, we really just kind of
Y'all
just.
never set one?
Not really.
Okay. I mean, if you want a formal vote
I
on
just
it.
used to I just want to bring it up there.
It definitely needs to be done.
But it needs to be, because I looked at it when me and him was looking at it yesterday, I said, well, it is, I had noticed it's about hollowed out all the way. And the tops broke out of it now, so.
And not to mention if I don't.
We've lost so many
It's
beautiful
crushed the
trees
fence
over the
there.
years, we've lost, because they had one on every single corner over the years.
Gonna cut down on squirrel population.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
So they're all at the plant.
They're everywhere.
So anyway, I'll go ahead and tell him that he said he can get on it whenever we do. I'll give him the okay, but if that's fine with y'all. And just anyway, I just want to bring that up. And I told Zach when you're coming out of the end, somebody, I had two or three mention this. When you come down Turner Street, right at the end of the warehouse where my warehouse is, when you get to Highway 11, there's a huge vine growing up that. Have you seen it?
Yeah, he told me about it, and
It needs to be sprayed
yeah, we're
because it's blocking. It's actually getting to be
we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it this week.
okay. And I did mention it. I just want to make sure I
Yep.
mentioned. I had that note wrote down. And also, the guy told me that coming. Have you? I haven't been looked at it, but he said if you're on a vehicle, low car, not a big truck, coming down Johnson, coming out of the trailer park from Johnson Street, you know they put 2 new signs on the fence.
It's a realty sign.
Is that what he's talking about?
It is.
Somebody-
It is totally
It's
blocking
bad.
view.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what the guy was talking about, and I hadn't been paying no mind, but I told him I'd look at it, and then we need to, but if you've already seen it, you need
Yes,
to
sir.
address it then if you would.
And I can.
Is it a realty sign mounted on is just on a post in the ground or something?
I mean,
I think it's in the ground.
Yeah, it's a nice sign,
Well, I mean,
but they definitely put it too far out.
Is
Is it
that,
the NPR
oh, that's the
sign?
one at the,
Is it the NPR sign?
it's over there on the
Talking
Dempsey's
about a dog
store.
room.
Yeah,
Chasing them.
Nathan Perry Realty. I know Nathan Perry personally. If you need me to reach out to him.
Yeah, either that or I can call Jason.
Because it looks like they're saying it's impeding the view you got to pull all the way up.
Yeah, if you're in the right vehicle, yes.
And the lower the vehicle, the worse it is.
Right.
And if they could just move it back, it'd be fine. So I was gonna bring that up.
I mentioned something.
I had a older guy mention to me today when he was in there about that, and I told him I would look at it, and I hadn't been by. I was in my truck. I said, because in the truck you can see over, but in the car. But anyway, you want
If I need to, I'll be more than happy to reach out to
If
him.
you want to reach out to
and then
me,
you
go
can
ahead.
come, you can come to it again.
Hey, you want to talk about something else that's not on the agenda?
I was getting ready to say something. And it may be something they had to put on the agenda. I mean, I don't know, but
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah.
Well,
He wants to know.
we're not. We were planning on trying to find out with the fire department. I talked to the fire department. They said that they can do a quick form about burning those houses and not have to go through the state or none of that. So that way you can get for training.
Okay. He just wanted to know when they were gonna get tore down.
Well, I know Daniel. I can call him.
Yeah. That's what he wanted. He was asking for you because he wanted to know when them houses were gonna get taken down.
Okay. I'll call him and tell him because I need some questions about. Anyway, I need to find out exactly because they have to. The owners of those houses have to sign these papers to get them done. And Denny, I talked to Denny in the fire department, and they said they could handle paperwork for us and do it, and it counts as training.
and I think
And-
we went through this last year, and I think whoever owns those houses, they don't get nothing done to them, and they don't want to sign nothing.
Oh, really? But I didn't want Treva. I thought because Treva, whenever we were doing that community cleanup out there, they said they thought that they did want it cleaned.
See nothing of it. Don't sound like it to me.
I'll reach out and talk to Daniel. But me and him, I know Daniel. We went to school
Been the
together.
problem all along. They
Let me
need
get
their
that-
down
let me
there.
get that
Absolutely
stamp
no
sticker.
good.
He's at the stamp.
I'll reach out on that because I've been wanting to get on that and find out about that anyway. But I just happened to see Denny and talk to him a little bit, and he told me yes, they could do it a lot quicker by doing it that way if they sign.
Ever since that community cleanup we had, I mean, we still mowing the grass there. We mowed the grass.
Well,
there.
I know I want to try to keep it looking decent, but and some of that is because I haven't been able to get up with some of the people about it who Merriam's all for it on the other street over there. But it's on those two houses. The one that's on Old Craft is the one that's the eyesores that
And I
we kind of
mean,
keep.
I don't mind doing it. I mean, it needs to be kept up. I mean, somebody needs to keep it up. But on the same sense, the town is taking care of somebody's property.
I know. But the problem is when you're in areas like this and they live far off and I don't know what, but the neighborhood, they're not gonna clean it up, and that's why I just kind of go out and mow. I'll mow mows and somebody mows, I'll mow everybody in there.
Yeah, we do it. I mean,
Just to keep, just because it's our town,
you
I
gotta
want to keep
keep
it
it up.
looking good.
I gotta take off, guys. My
Take
daughter
care.
keeps my wife till 8 o'clock.
All right, appreciate you coming. All right, on the next thing, where we get back on is the fire department repayment request. And I talked to Brett.
I know that he contacted you.
Yeah, he contacted me on the money that they owe back to the town instead of, how long has it been, 5 years?
It'll be 4 payments.
Okay, so they owe 4, or we hadn't come to the 4th one yet,
They're behind 4 right now.
right now. But what they wanna do is, because they don't wanna clean the savings out, is to request that they can pay this coming.
Yeah, they're gonna be back on track. They
They're gonna
paid
get
the
back on
one.
track,
Mhm.
and then they want to know, because the loan's paid off in 2028, it'll be done. They'll keep up the payments from now on, but then after it's paid off, they're gonna
Catch them 4 years.
catch
after.
them other 4 years up. At
They just wanna add it to the
and-
end.
and I told them it was fine with me. That way they don't feel like they're, because, losing all their savings at one time, because they don't, it kinda got off track, I think.
It's
when
not
Kim-
their fault that it
It weren't
got
really,
on
I think
track.
it's cause what happened was when Kim took over, she was paying the bills, and I think from then on after Kim left is when it quit, the best we can figure out. They didn't realize it. It's supposed to be
didn't.
coming back out. The fire department, Kim, the clerk was paying the bills, because Connie used to pay all the bills. And then when Connie finally got Kim trained into doing that stuff, and then she started paying the bills, and she was paying the fire department bill. That's how, when she left and went to Deep Run, I think the ones that came in didn't catch up on everything that was supposed to have been done. So that's kind of what went on, the reason it got that way. And then nobody said nothing about it
Yeah.
until she got it.
Well, I
Because
just,
the rate it was going, if they don't pay it back, the money was going to be out before the loan would be paid out.
yeah,
Because it was the sign when we
the
set that
general
fund up.
fund savings, it's not that much, so
Yeah.
it was depleting the general fund savings. It had to come out of the general fund savings because of the way that the
The way
USDA
the
loan
USDA
was set
loan
up
was, yeah.
initially.
I was on the board when that
Yeah.
loan started it. So it's, what I believe it's been almost 30 years, 28 be 30 years. Phew. All right, so y'all good with that? Okay, do we need a formal vote on that or anything, or just, we're good? Just, so as long as they'll start doing it, then we'll stretch it out.
Sure.
That's fine with y'all.
Caught up, and then you'll add them to the back end.
Okay. Year-end budget amendments that we need to do tonight.
Alright, general fund, nobody, I mean, I can read it if you want me to.
Let me see.
Connie and I worked on it today. And I locked the door and the phone rang and people jerked on the door handle and somebody's mad and I ain't checked the answering machine. I'm gonna let Jessica check it tomorrow.
That's good, because you need to. So we gotta make on the general fund a total amendment adjustments for donations. Let's see, duplicate revenue. This is on the credit revenue increase side.
Yes, you're taking the revenues that are over and you are countering the stuff that's
Okay.
the expenses that are over.
So how we need to word this to just, all we need to do is have an amendment, official amendment. Isn't it?
Just
Second
make a
person.
motion to adopt this 24-25 line item budget amendment request for the general fund.
Instead of breaking it all down.
Yep, cause
But it's
she can,
it was at Connie's, this is her
you know, pass it.
recommendation on
No, look at that.
what she thinks we ought to do as a year-end budget amendment.
On that one is where we're going, this CR means that we came over, over
Or-
what was budgeted.
Or fund balance appropriation.
Yeah.
On the water, it's a really large fund balance appropriation.
Yeah, so now and then we're making a motion we'll do the, adjustment to make the budget match out. We're supposed to you're supposed to do the amendments all along as we need to, but,
You're supposed to do it before this meeting,
yeah.
but it's gotta be done anyway.
So Connie finally got everything here, we've got it straight, so we need a motion to accept the proposed, line items for the 24-25 line item budget amendment request for the general fund.
Make a motion to accept the 24-25 line item budget amendment request, general fund.
Second,
Second.
any more discussion? All in favor? All right, then the next one is the same thing, basically we're just making the appropriation for the increase on the water side. try to be the same, so we need a motion to, do the line item budget amendment for request for the water fund. It's like the amount of $129,835, and the expense will be the same.
Yeah.
You got a motion?
So,
Just read that, I'll just read the top
you
line.
don't even have to read it, you can.
I make a motion to accept the line item budget amendment request for the water fund.
That's a second.
Second.
Any more discussion on it? Then we're all the ayes? All right, so we're at the end of the line. Anything else anybody need?
Just sign those budget amendments.
Yeah,
And,
we just need to sign
and
those
I
budget
will
amendments.
scan them in the morning.
All right, we'll make a motion, you want a motion to take a leave of absence for tonight? Close the meeting.
Make a motion, join the meeting.
Got a motion and a second. We thank y'all.